World War II caused unimaginable destruction and loss, and its aftermath left many seeking justice for the horrific crimes committed by the Nazis. While many of them were captured, some of the most notorious figures slipped through the fingers of justice. In today's video, we will uncover the stories of 5 of these Nazis who evaded capture and have never been brought to justice. Alois Brunner. Alois Brunner was an Austrian SS officer who played a notorious role in World War II as the right-hand man to Adolf Eichmann, one of the principal architects of the Holocaust. Brunner's actions led to the deportation and deaths of tens of thousands of Jews. Brunner joined the Nazi Party and the SS in the 1930s and quickly rose through the ranks due to his fervent anti-Semitism and organizational skills. Brunner was responsible for the deportation of over 128,000 Jews from Austria, Greece, France, and Slovakia to Nazi extermination camps. His ruthless efficiency earned him a fearsome reputation. Brunner's methods were characterized by brutality and a lack of compassion as he oversaw the mass deportations with cold precision. In France, he led the Drancy internment camp from where thousands of prisoners were sent to Auschwitz. After World War II, Brunner evaded capture. The identity of Alois Brunner was apparently confused with another SS member named Anton Brunner, who was executed for war crimes. Unlike Anton, Alois did not have the SS blood type tattoo, which allowed him to avoid detection in an Allied prison camp. Anton Brunner had been involved in deporting Jews in Vienna and was mistakenly identified as Alois after the war due to their shared surname. Brunner found refuge in the Middle East under the alias Georg Fischer. He settled in Syria, reportedly serving as a consultant on intelligence matters to the Syrian government. Despite several assassination attempts by the Israeli intelligence agency Mossad, Brunner survived into the late 20th century, allegedly living in Damascus. Despite multiple efforts by international agencies and relentless pursuit by Nazi hunters like Simon Wiesenthal, Brunner remained a fugitive. The Syrian government consistently denied knowledge of Brunner's whereabouts or refused to extradite him. Reports of his death have varied, with some claiming he died in the early 2000s, while others suggest he may have lived until as late as 2010. Heinrich Müller. Müller joined the Bavarian police force after World War I and quickly rose through the ranks, becoming the head of the Munich political police department during the Weimar Republic. His hatred of communism and spirited efforts against left-wing groups caught the attention of the Nazi leadership. In September 1939, Müller was appointed chief of the Gestapo. Known as Gestapo Müller to distinguish himself from other SS officers of the same name, he was crucial in making the Gestapo the central executive organ of the National Socialist Terror. Under Müller's leadership, the Gestapo succeeded in infiltrating and largely destroying opposition groups like the Social Democrat and Communist parties. He played a leading role in suppressing all forms of resistance to the Nazi regime using brutal tactics. Müller attended the infamous Wannsee Conference in 1942. As Gestapo chief, he oversaw the rounding up of Jews and their transportation to ghettos and extermination camps in the East. In April 1945, as the Red Army closed in on Berlin, Müller was among the last Nazi loyalists in the Führer bunker. He was last seen there on the evening of May 1, 1945, after which his fate remains unknown. Müller's disappearance in the final days of the war has fueled decades of speculation and theories about his fate. Hans Bauer, Hitler's pilot, quoted him as saying, "We know the Russian methods exactly. I haven't the faintest intention of being taken prisoner by the Russians." From that day onwards, no trace of Müller has ever been found, making him the most senior member of the Nazi government whose fate remains a mystery. The CIA conducted an extensive search for Müller in the months after Germany's surrender, but their efforts were hampered by the common nature of his name and the lack of a middle name. Several theories emerged over the years regarding Müller's fate. Some evidence suggested that Müller may have committed suicide or was killed during the chaotic Battle of Berlin, with his body never identified. Walter Schellenberg, a former SS officer, alleged in his memoir that Müller had defected to the Soviet Union in 1945. This theory was fueled by rumors of Müller being seen in Soviet interrogation rooms. Some speculated that Müller managed to escape to South America, a common destination for fleeing Nazis after the war. But despite numerous investigations and theories, Heinrich Müller's whereabouts remain a mystery till this day, making him the most senior missing Nazi figure. Aribert Heim. Aribert Heim, often referred to as Dr. Death or the Butcher of Mauthausen, is till this day one of the most notorious figures from the Holocaust. Known for his gruesome acts as a physician in the Nazi concentration camps, Heim was a medical doctor before joining the SS and eventually became a camp doctor at Mauthausen concentration camp in 1941. It was here that he earned his notorious nicknames for performing brutal and often lethal experiments on prisoners. Heim's time at Mauthausen concentration camp was characterized by extreme brutality. Testimonies from witnesses and survivors reveal that he had performed performed gruesome medical experiments on inmates. Those involved unnecessary surgeries, injecting substances like petrol and water directly into victims' hearts, and conducting amputations without anesthesia. The purpose of these experiments was not to advance medical science, but to inflict torture and pursue eugenic ideals. Heim's actions resulted in the deaths of hundreds of prisoners and left many others with severe, lasting injuries. On the 15th of March 1945, Heim was captured by US soldiers and sent to a POW camp, where he remained for 2.5 years. While his former colleagues faced trials and execution, Heim mysteriously managed to evade capture and prosecution for his war crimes. When released in 1947, he resumed his career as a gynecologist in Baden-Baden until his sudden disappearance in 1962 after receiving a tip-off about his impending arrest. He had telephoned his home and was told that the police were waiting for him. He escaped to Egypt via France, Spain, Morocco, and Libya. For decades, Heim's fate remained a mystery, with various reports suggesting different death locations. In 2008, Heim was listed by the Simon Wiesenthal Center as one of the 10 most wanted Nazi war criminals. In 2009, German authorities discovered his passport and documents in Cairo, leading them to believe he had died there in 1992 from complications relating to cancer. However, Nazi hunter Ephraim Zuroff asserted that Heim's daughter had claimed he died in Argentina in 1993. In 2012, a court in Baden-Baden confirmed that Heim had died under the alias Tariq Farid Hussein in Egypt in 1992, based on new evidence from his family and lawyer. His son Rudiger admitted publicly that he was with his father in Egypt at the time of his death and that his father was put in an unmarked grave in Cairo. Despite this, the Simon Wiesenthal Center contests these conclusions, and Heim remained on their most wanted Nazi war criminals list until 2013 due to the absence of forensic evidence. Walter Rauff. Walter Rauff was a friend of Reinhard Heydrich, who recruited him into the SS. Rauff played a crucial role in the creation and use of mobile gas chambers, which were responsible for the deaths of an estimated 100,000 people. In 1943, Rauff was sent to Milan to take charge of Gestapo and SD operations in northwest Italy, where he was involved in rounding up and deporting Jews to Auschwitz. Despite being detained in 1945, he managed to escape from an American internment camp in Rimini in Italy and hid in various Italian convents under the protection of Bishop Alois Hudal. In 1948, Rauff joined Syrian intelligence and advised President Hosni al-Zaim during conflicts with the newly established State of Israel. After a coup in Syria, he fled to Lebanon, then to Italy, and eventually secured a transit pass to Ecuador. Rauff settled in Chile in 1958. After relocating to Chile in 1958, Rauff assumed dual roles. He managed a king crab cannery in Punta Arenas and worked as a merchant in Quito, Ecuador. However, these positions were merely part of his civilian life. Rauff had been brought to Chile by then Major Augusto Pinochet as an international expert to help establish Chile's internal security system. In this capacity, Rauff led a group of former German SS and Gestapo officers who served in various advisory roles to the Chilean military. Between 1958 and 63, Rauff was employed by the Federal Intelligence Service of West Germany, known as the BND. To disguise his activities as a spy in South America, he adopted the role of an export manager and agent for a company in Santiago. His contact within the BND was Wilhelm Beisner. Beisner, who knew Rauff from their time together at the Reich Security main office, served as a paymaster for the BND. Eventually, Rauff received a warning and was subsequently removed from the BND. In 1960, Rauff traveled to Germany to claim his pension for his service in the military. While he was there, he had no problems with the German authorities. In December 1962, he was detained by Chilean authorities following an extradition request from Germany. However, in 1963, the Chilean Supreme Court ordered his release after 5 months, citing the time elapsed since the commission of his crimes as the reason for their decision. Mossad even attempted to capture or assassinate him but failed. Rauff died in Santiago, Chile on May 14, 1984 from a heart attack while battling lung cancer. His funeral was marked by German and Chilean attendees who gave Nazi salutes and chanted Heil Hitler. Hans Kammler. Kammler was an SS Obergruppenführer in charge of Nazi civil engineering projects and the top-secret V-weapons program. Kammler's most notorious contribution was his role in the construction and administration of Nazi concentration camps. He was appointed by Himmler to oversee the construction and expansion of concentration camps, including the infamous Auschwitz. Kammler applied his engineering expertise with chilling efficiency, overseeing the construction of gas chambers, crematoria, and other facilities designed for mass extermination. His efforts included not just in overseeing the building of these camps, but also the enhancement of their operational efficiency, turning them into horrifically effective instruments of genocide. In March 1944, Himmler persuaded Hitler to transfer the V2 program under SS control. Kammler was notorious for his use of concentration camp prisoners as slave labor in the V2 production sites. His cruelty and blatant disregard for human life were widely recognized. Tragically, more individuals perished during the manufacturing of the V2 rockets than from their actual deployment. In late 1945, Kammler ordered the execution of 200 forced laborers and their families after his car was delayed on a congested road, deeming it a vague threat, so this riffraff ought to be eliminated. The end of Kammler's life is shrouded in mystery. As Nazi Germany crumbled under the pressure of the advancing Allied forces, Kammler vanished. His disappearance is riddled with conflicting reports and speculative theories, with some saying that he took his own life to evade capture, while others believe he used his knowledge as leverage to negotiate with the Allies. Some claim he was captured by American forces and secretly integrated into their aerospace programs as part of the post-war technology race. Others argue he evaded capture entirely, living out his days under assumed identities. The lack of conclusive evidence has given rise to numerous conspiracy theories, none of which have been definitively confirmed or debunked. Well, that's it. We hope you enjoyed our video. If so, be sure to march on over to the subscribe button and join our History Battalion. Don't forget to like it and hit the notification bell to stay updated on more World War II content. See you next time.